Hey everybody, this is Tommy with Audio 46. I'm out here in the wild today seeing if I can catch a glimpse of the Parrot Zik 2.0. Well, you see, the great thing about these wait! Look! Wow. The Zik 2.0 was designed by Philippe Starck, the prolific French designer known widely for his organic and playful takes on consumer products. I've always been on the fence with Starck designs because they exist in this in-between space between mid-century inspired minimalism and expressionistic Tokyo meets Paris whimsical fun. This seeming contradiction is very much present in the Parrot Zik 2.0, which steps further into cartoony postmodernism than its predecessor while still maintaining a very simple silhouette and form. I'm totally on the fence here, because the designer in me tells me to respect the care that clearly went into these headphones, but my personal preferences make it harder for me to give them a fair shake, even though I happen to be very impressed by both the form and function in action. The Zik seems to simultaneously take itself very seriously and not at all. More on this later. So let's take a look at these headphones. The oblong ear cups are packed with features and tech, including several touch-sensitive areas, a light-up button to activate Bluetooth and power on the headphones, a USB port to charge, and a direct line jack on the right side. But the real gem here is this touch-sensitive ear pad, which allows you to use Apple-like gestures to raise and lower volume, skip songs, pause tracks, and answer phone calls. There's also a really nice feature where if you take the headphones off your head while a song is playing, it will automatically pause it. This is really cool, but outside of this particularly intuitive feature, function seems to sort of follow form with the Zik. Nothing about any of the features of their implementation strikes me as wrong, but I get the inkling suspicion that I am meeting a series of conditions to use these headphones, as opposed to the Zik smartly adapting to the intuitions of the headphone user. In short, some of the features take a little getting used to, which is fine, but not really that different from hardware buttons and dials. The Zik is good at what it does, but while the dog is new, the tricks are a little more well-traveled. Unlike a lot of Bluetooth devices I've used, the Zik 2.0 is set up with relative ease. This is indicated by the very brief owner's manual that instructs you to download an app and connect via Bluetooth. Very straightforward, thank you. I connected the Zik to both my phone and laptop and was up and running immediately. This is a really fantastic aspect of the Zik because as a lifelong tinkerer and troubleshooter, there's something very refreshing about it working the first time. Bluetooth range is great. I used it all day without losing connectivity. Parrot has clearly put a great deal of care and effort into making the Zik as low maintenance as possible, and it makes a big difference towards this being a true everyday product as opposed to an impractical proof of concept. But the Zik app is what really begins to show off the potential of these headphones. There's a high degree of customization and includes equalizer parameters as well as pre-configured sound presets modeled after popular artists. There's a parametric EQ and producer mode as well as adjustable adaptive noise canceling and a digital sound processor in the form of concert hall, which allows you to emulate physical space to some degree and model sound. The thing is, despite all of these great features, the Zik can be frustratingly particular about the type of input it will accept. The touch functionality and gestures would be intuitive if only they worked reliably. Every time I attempt to adjust the volume using a gesture, I either miss the mark entirely or register too much pressure and pause the track. In a world accustomed to nearly flawless Apple trackpads and capacitative touchscreens, hiccups like these are harder to justify. Speaking of Apple, there's definitely a follow us into the future vibe with these headphones, but sometimes the execution is a little more Newton than iPhone. The Zik has very good sound resolution, with some limitations. Generally, the range from bass to treble is substantial enough to ensure good separation of instruments. High range is especially good, and whether it was the comfort of the Zik, thoughtful tuning, or both, I didn't experience any of the telltale listening fatigue of overcompensated highs. Soundstage is not nearly as wide as other more audiophile-leaning headphones, even on the lower end, such as the Beyerdynamic DT880 or the Audio-Technica MSR7. Bass comes through clean, but could be a bit punchier, and though you have some degree of control over this, there's only so much you can do with the equalizer. But the functionality of the app to adjust equalization is what really elevates these. The onboard functionality is well implemented and easy to use, and would be useful to pros and casuals alike. Philippe Starck speaks about democratic design and his concepts, and I think the Zik really drives this point home. Very successfully, these headphones are packed with a lot of functionality, but mostly lack the air of elitism that shrouds some electronic brands. The Zik app turns a smartphone into a really competent personal player, and this is a very good thing. Digital sound processor is a neat add-on, but I think a zealous audiophile might scoff at that kind of emulation. But headphones should be fun. They should be experimental. That's what I like about these. They're not so far up their own ass that sound becomes another numbers game. Do you ever get the feeling that in the pursuit of perfect audio, audiophiles are more like accountants? It's a pleasant surprise given the very high horse sat upon by Parrot, the world's most advanced headphones, and their grand marketing proclamations. If headphones have some personality or character, what is the Zik 2.0? Let's leave the forest and go into the city for this one. The Parrot Zik is a friend you know, but sometimes he can act more like an upgraded acquaintance or a concierge. You've been to his Dumbo apartment and seen his copies of art forms strewn across the chrome and glass coffee table, but mixed in between Architectural Digest and a clean, unread copy of Infinite Jest, peeks out the newest issue of PC Gamer. Zik takes you to a new ramen place that just opened, and you get a nice seat near the back because he's friends with the chef. The food is good, but pork broth and noodles taste as good when poured haphazardly into a styrofoam container by an apathetic man in a fake Puma hat on East Broadway, as they do dressed up under the reclaimed antique light fixtures of the restaurant Zik took you to. Zik is your friend, and he's told you this many times. But he also keeps you at arm's length because, well, while he doesn't agree with the hobnobbing lifestyle, it's just something you gotta do if you want to make it. Sometimes you get the feeling Zik is so occupied with being the best and the coolest that he completely overlooks the fact that he's a great listener and a great talker with genuinely good ideas. That you like hanging out with him without the ramen. That those nights when you were down in the dumps because of Sharon's new profile picture with her new boo, Zik ended up turning around and making you realize life is for living, and living is good. Zik is a great guy with a lot of talent, but you wish he would take appearances a little less seriously, because if he did, those talents would certainly flourish, though, at the end of the day, you're glad to call him your friend. This has been Tommi with Audio 46. See you next time.